Hello, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to JaTorra Commodore from Commodore Coaching. Now, we met because JaTorra took the school yoga program a little bit ago, and I wanted to introduce you to her work specifically around starting mindfulness clubs after school. So JaTorra came to the program. She'd been an educator for 20 odd years, right? You have an incredible background. You've got not only the experience and the training, but you've got your hands in all different kinds of areas, including yoga and mindfulness and meditation and working with young kids, children and older ones. But now you're getting back into the school system as an after school mindfulness club host, and I think it's you and another person. So before
Yeah,
we dive into that, tell us a little bit about, catch us up. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to where you are now.
sure. So, um, like Giselle said, I have been an educator for 20 years, taught elementary school grades, K through fourth grade. And actually, this this seems like a lot of people's stories, but um during the after the pandemic hit that first year in 2020, I had decided that following school year to go on a leave of absence. And this actually was a feeling that was, brewing in me for years.
Hmm.
But that year, the anxiety that I was feeling around going back to school every year for like the past 5 years prior to that, um, really was up a notch for me. And so I decided to just take a leave of absence and give myself a little time. And during that time, I actually decided that it was probably in my best interest health-wise to come out of the classroom altogether. Um, and just think of all the things that I would love to do to help others. Initially, and still, it started with helping teachers with reducing their stress and burnout. And I wound up getting a certification in meditation. I then got my yoga certification and social emotional learning facilitation. And so I decided to work with adults, but then sometimes
Right.
when you've been a teacher for so long, your main goal is to be with kids. You love kids, and I realized that I do love working with kids, but I also realized that there was this next chapter for me, and what is a way that I could really feel like I was making an impact on kids, because in that current role as a traditional elementary school teacher, I was not feeling like I was making an impact, and I was going home stressed and burnt out every single day. And so I found myself back into schools, just kind of subbing and loving to have that connection with kids while building my own coaching business and doing some yoga classes and meditation with adults. And through that, I got a connection with another coworker, and she knew that I had this background, and she was very much the same, like just into the mindfulness, the SEL, the things for kids that will help them with their, emotional and social growth. And so she asked if I would like to do an after school program with her. And I said, sure. And so that's when our after school program, we call it Wellness Warriors, and we started it, and we actually just started it the uh this year, but last school year in the spring. So
So that's
yeah.
amazing. When you say, JaTorra, that you experience stress and burnout and anxiety, that is not something I can even imagine with you. Ever since we've known each other, you come across as someone vibrant. I mean, I see you on Zoom, right? We haven't met face to face, but you have
Right.
this vibrancy. You're always smiling. You have a great outlook. Like there's just an energy. We just spent half an hour as you walked around your school to try and find Wi-Fi, right? That's
Yeah.
stressful when you're trying to be on this interview and you just arrived to your car here and you're just like chill. You just like drop in immediately. no doubt you're using your tools without even realizing it, right? You're
Yes.
using your
Yes.
mindfulness and yoga tools. And then also that, like you said, this is a common story for teachers to make that jump out of education. So in some
Hmm.
ways, it's incredibly heartbreaking because we need teachers, right? And we need really
Right.
excellent teachers. We need high quality teachers. But at the same time, as you say, you weren't being of service at your best because of how you were feeling in your burnout. So a lot of
Right.
teachers thinking, how do I make that jump? And then the other side of that is how do I lose my pension, right? So that is a conversation we have, and medical care and that kind of thing. So I
Right.
love your story in so many ways that you did have the courage to make the jump. And it
Hmm.
seems like you're in charge, you're in charge of your own schedule, right?
Yes.
You're doing what you love to do, right? Your
Yeah.
calling is to be a coach, to support teachers. You can empathize with teachers and what they're going through, but you're coming at it from a different angle, right? And so
Right.
I love everything about your story, right? Especially with so the after school. So what are you seeing in the after school mindfulness clubs? What are you seeing as the sort of benefits for the children?
So, um, there's so many different benefits. One is after school, they have a place to come. And even though at the end of school, they could be one of two things, right? They could be either like really tired from a
Yeah.
full day of school, or they could be like hyper and energized because school is done and they're ready to just let loose.
Mhm.
And we just provide this calming place for them to come to learn and understand about the importance of uh, just being being mindful, being self-aware,
Mhm.
being connected to themselves and other um, peers and people in their community or school community in this case. And so it's a great way, and it's not that they don't get that during the school day, but it's a bit more intentional and it's
Mhm.
a bit more focused. So we do it for an hour and the kids come in. We've done two different types of programs. So we started, we did um where children did for a half an hour, we would work on a wellness toolkit. And so we would do a project or an activity um, that they would create that would go inside this wellness toolkit. And then at the end of the 6 week program, it was a 6 week program, we they got to take that toolkit home. And we also provided yoga mats. Um, and then the other half hour was around, so in the beginning, like we open up with, you know, a calming, relaxing activity with them, just to kind of get connected and just kind of, we tell them about like, showing gratitude for our day, kind of relaxing from our day, releasing a little bit. And they don't realize all of this stuff like we do as adults from decompressing, right? But they do tend to like get right into it and just kind of relax and lay down and just be in silence for a little bit.
Oh,
And then the other half of the class we're doing yoga, movement, community, community building, things like that. They have gratitude journals, so we had them write in their journals from time to time, or pretty much every session really, because it's not it's only 6 weeks. But then we got such good feedback that those kids that were in the 6 week program didn't want it to end and wanted to come again. And so then we did a second round where it wasn't about the toolkit, but it was like, okay, you're in round two now, like you're a warrior two.
yeah.
And and you're and then we just build upon whatever we did in round one. And so yeah, it's great because at the end kids have these tools that they could use at home. We We also express to them, like we give them the name of like, you're a wellness warrior. You are, you exude that when you walk around the school. So you are calm, cool, collected. You are, helping your friends if they ever need to take a breath. You can teach them how to do this. You could teach your brothers and sisters at home or your family some of the poses that we've done. And so they feel so good about that. And sometimes we'll see them in the hall and they'll say, I'll see you for Wellness Warriors. Or I'll walk down the hall and I'll say, if they're not in the class anymore, I'll say, hi, Wellness Warrior, how you doing? How's everything going? And so there's a lot of connections that they make from the class, outside of the class, which I think is really great as well.
I I just love so much of this tutorial. I want to highlight some things you said. I love we talking about providing them a safe place to land, this calming atmosphere, because what we hear a lot from a lot of folks who do after school yoga is exactly what you said. You addressed it. You said they're either completely wild or they're exhausted, but it doesn't seem to, it seems to roll off you, because that's definitely a concern that we hear from a lot of people, but you providing them that soft landing after school to create that space. And I think about my daughter, for example, she's a white knuckler, right? And so she doesn't display large behaviors in the classroom, but it's more like it's all here. And so her emotional regulation, she's like a soda pop can. So when she gets home, it's just like, it's a massive explosion. But I always think,
Mm,
gosh, if she was able to slowly let the pop can throughout the day ease it up, it wouldn't be such an explosion. She'd be able to access her ability to learn, and she's not, because there's so much going on. And so you're providing these children a way. Yes, they are coming. It's like you're facing it head on. Yes, they're coming exhausted and everything, but you're taking them into the second point, so the calming piece, and then the connecting. You're taking that as an opportunity to connect with them, because
right,
there's so much curriculum has to happen during the day, the big classes, lots of high needs children, and you're
right.
providing this space. You're fresh, right? Because it's the end of the day and it's your first
Yeah,
experience with the children, and you're able to connect to them, not just yourselves, but the third one is about community, right? So the calm, the connect, and the community. You're building that sense of community, and I've seen in the classes I work
great.
at that because of the pandemic, I'm seeing a difference now than before, that children are having a hard time listening to each other, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
having a hard time
Yeah.
connecting. They're not
Yes.
sort of seeing each other eye to eye necessarily, and they're not able to collaborate. It's very much more, I think, in the experience that I've had, is sort of like a child to the teacher this way, but it isn't across the class, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep.
Whereas you're providing that space that, hey, we're in this together. You know, you're a wellness
Right.
warrior, right? You're giving them a tool, not just for themselves, but a social interaction as well. So
Right.
I love
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
what would you say are sort of your top tips if someone were to think, like, from your experience doing this for the last year or so, what if, because I know you've changed your program, right? And you've tried different things, and so what would you say, here's what I've learned, and here are my kind of top tips for people wanting to start like an after school mindfulness club.
Yeah. So, one, I would say one of the big things is getting buy-in, right? From um your administrator or from um the and I would say from the PTA. I feel like we had we had really strong backing from both, but our PTA was very vital in helping us to put the word out there, to help us, coordinate things. And so they were very a very pitiful
Pivotal,
sorry,
yes, yeah,
no,
yes.
not pitiful, pivotal role in our developing this and our continued development, because we just started a mindful mornings program this past month. And so that's a huge part of it. The other thing is, one of the other things I would say, especially if you are teaching and you want to do this, I think having a buddy, a coworker is
Mm,
really nice to just have some, so you're not feeling like you're doing it all, right?
right.
So, the coworker, she's a teacher. And so I took on more of the paperwork stuff, collecting the payments, doing, and then she was like, I'll make the copies or, little things because she felt like I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, no, you certainly are.
Mm,
So maybe having someone, um, that could help to do it together. I think that's been really great for us. If one of us is out, the other one can do it. If, we kind of switched roles back and forth on who was, the planning was easier for each other, and things like that. Um, the third tip I would say is, of course, it's, a lot about mindfulness and presence and being connected and slowing down. But within that, making it engaging for the
mm,
kids,
yeah,
finding ways to keep their attention because again, this is after school
yeah,
and it could be a little difficult without feeling like you are um, not keeping to your objective and your goals. So there's always a way to do that. And I feel like doing the wellness toolkit was a huge benefit for us because it got the kids to do art and tactile stuff and create this thing that they were going to use at the end. We allowed them to take ownership over things, for example, calling them wellness warriors, or once they got some of the poses, they would teach each other poses or play a game together, do team building, and doing partner yoga poses, things like that.
mm,
So yeah, I think those would be like the top three things. Um, we did have children, I know for a lot of teachers, the issue of financially, how do you do this, right? Um, we did have it as an after school program that parents paid for. We are working this year to be able to, and actually we did offer a scholarship last year and actually for this one. So we're trying to do it like where it's not like an open,
yeah,
thing for the floodgates. But if we hear of a student or we know a student who could use it, we would, extend that to a parent as a scholarship. We gave discounts for siblings. We had like three siblings at one point. We gave a discount. Um, and we're trying to look for more ways to, you know, to bring the costs down. Like we had to be very careful, especially if we're doing a toolkit. We had to order things and, it wasn't, we feel as though our pricing was very reasonable for what they were getting and what they were taking home and, all of what they were getting. But we're also looking to do fundraising or grants or things like that in the future so
yeah,
that we could have just in case money is a barrier.
yeah.
So that's something we're looking for, to do in this next in these next few months, to a
Love it.
year to extend it even more. So
I love
yeah.
that. So what's in the wellness toolkit?
So in the toolkit is a gratitude journal.
Oh,
Um, it's a we call it a rice critter. It's like a sock with rice in it,
yeah.
but they can use it. It's like heavy and they can use it for sensory calming down. We show them how to like put it on their belly and watch their breath.
Oh my,
Um, we did a calming jar. Um, we did breathing cards, and what else did we do? Because I know we I know we did more than that. They
now
created bracelets. Go
you're
ahead, I'm
making
sorry.
these. You're making these together. So it's built by them, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes, it is.
awesome.
Yeah, it is
Love
all, yep, all created by them. They
Oh,
get
I
to
love that.
decorate it. We did calming stones. So they got like we got little stones and then they got to decorate their stones however they wanted to. And then we showed them how to use each of the items in their toolkit.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And then do you give them, do they make a basket or something for it, or how's it, is it all together?
So the first round we had it was like a cardboard box and then they got to decorate it however they wanted. We had like a positive you know, stickers that they could put on. They could decorate it however they wanted. Markers, whatever they wanted to put on it. The second time we did it, we just for having space, we decided to do bags instead, and the bags worked better just for like, you know, having a place to hold them. And they were like, you know, the little paper white craft bags, and they got to do the same thing. They got to decorate it, put stickers on the outside of it, and they got to take that home with the first session. They each got a yoga mat, and we actually allowed them, and we got it from like the Five and
Five
Below
Below, yeah,
store. Yeah, Five
yeah,
Below.
yeah.
And they got to decorate the yoga mat.
Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, so they were really cool because they have like designs on it, and then kids would use markers to like color in the designs or, you know, create however they want. And they had that to take home as well with them.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this so much. So you must have a story to share, JaTorra, of all the students that have gone through your program. Is there a story that you can think of that particularly stuck in your mind, like, I meant to do this, or, this work works?
Yeah, this story sticks out in my mind a lot. I have a couple, but this one really sticks out. We had a student come to us. He was in kindergarten and his mother wanted him to do it, but his teacher also thought it would be really great for him to learn some coping strategies and some ways to you know, work on his self-regulation and things like that. And he came to our class and he just soaked everything up. He was one of the ones that came in with some high energy,
Yeah.
but you know, as we went through and as we had the expectations and we explained and showed him how and kind of why, and he saw that and he saw his peers doing a lot of the same things, he connected so well to it. And the thing that really stood out was at the end of the program, the mom emailed us and said that she wanted to thank us so much for the program. She said every morning he gets up and he takes out his yoga mat, he lays out all his wellness tools, and he uses them. And he's even been like showing his little brother how to like calm down and breathe like when he's crying. And so that connection right there, more so than them being in the classroom, our main goal is that they are using it out there in the real world,
Right.
not just, you know, with us. And that's the important part. And that will stick with me because we were hoping, you know, to make that impact and that connection. And he's actually in our class again this round for the next school year. So we're like happy to have him back, and we're utilizing him even more, you know, to show some of the new kids and, you know, things like that. He's in first grade now. And yeah, so that's one of the stories that will always stick out to me when I hear that, you know, kids are really using the tools at home.
I love that
Yeah,
because we become teachers because we want to make a difference. And it's
right.
become such a complicated profession in the last few years, right? And so for you to have the courage to make that jump, to do your own thing, having
Hmm.
those moments, knowing that you're making such a huge impact with children must be just extraordinary, right? It
Yeah,
must just sit in you. And then you think about what difference that's going to make for the rest of his life, right? Not just
right.
now, but And I
Right.
think also the importance of what you're talking about, that wellness toolkit, that is amazing because I think that, as you say, because they have something that's theirs at home, that naturally bridges that gap, right? And
Right.
it's their own. There's some ownership there. They made it. It's something,
Right.
even no matter what's happening at home for them, they've got their own space, right? And so
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
theirs. I just think that's precious. That's just,
Right.
yeah, amazing. So,
Yeah.
um, so what advice would you give for someone who's thinking like, oh, I want to do this after school, but I'm just not sure, or the morning? I'm loving that you started the morning also, because that's a whole different environment, right? Often children are coming in if they've had a long bus ride, or they haven't slept well, or a lot of things are going on before a child can be ready to learn. So that must
Right.
be a completely different programming, right? A different energy level. So if someone's thinking about doing it is not sure, what kind of advice do you have for people?
Wow. I would say to think about your why. Why is this important to you, of course? Um, Come up with a plan. It may change. It may change a little bit. But I would definitely say if it's something you believe in, give it a try. Speak to your administrator, let them know the benefits and how it could benefit the students. Um, you know, Not just again after school, but during the school day. Um, and start off slow. It's I'd like to say that it happened a little easier for us than I thought it would. And I'm sure, some people may, face a few challenges, but I would definitely say to give it a try, have your plan ready, your purpose of why you want, to do this, and start off small. Because there were two of us, we said that we could take in 25 kids. We had that in the beginning. One session went down to maybe like 12. We were offering it twice a week at that time. Um, and so you don't even have to, 10 kids even. We had, having a smaller group sometimes is even nicer and more intimate. Right now, our Mindful Mornings program only has 2 kids, but we're still doing it
Yeah.
because we want to try to teach about the benefits of starting your day on a positive note. And it is different than the after school because it's more of we give them choice.
Mm.
So we have a choice board, and here are the things you can do in the morning. And one of those things is rest. And
Oh,
so if someone wants to, and we have a little boy who will come in and he will lie down with some stuffed animals and he wants to hear a book. And
oh,
that's what we do.
okay.
Um, so that they take that time to just really connect and get themselves, in a calm and peaceful, way before going to off to school, so
Yeah.
to speak.
But
But
again, even those
yeah,
choices, what you're helping children is for them to be self-regulated, right? To be able to
right,
say, what do I need right now? That
right,
is extraordinary, right? It's
right,
not something that comes easily to these children. I mean, what do I need right now? I want to be on screen, right?
right,
I mean, that's
right.
going to be the thing. But if you're in a space where there's no screen and I get to just be with stuffed animals and have a book read, I mean, that's
Yeah,
extraordinary because that's a
yeah,
way for him to soothe himself, right?
right, right.
I love
Exactly.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so great.
yeah.
Oh, I'm just so proud of you. It's so
Thank
incredibly
you.
exciting to watch your journey and see what you're up to. So, how can we find you online?
So you can find me at my website at commodorecoaching.com. If you want to connect to me with me, ask me any questions regarding starting your own program, I wouldn't mind helping out anyone out with any questions or how anything really. And it's the same thing, Commodore Coaching at gmail.com. If you'd like to look me up on social media, you can do it by my name, JaTorra Commodore. And yeah, I just want to be able to connect with every and anyone, make an impact, and just kind of, be that catalyst for change and bringing about more and better ways for us to, you know, manage stress because it's always going to be there
Yeah.
and learn how to cope when things get rough because again, with my story, I found myself in a place that I didn't think that I would be in, and um now my outlook on life is very different because of that, and because I am using these tools for myself. I feel like when I first started teaching, I was teaching kids about mindfulness, but I wasn't really using it myself. And now that I really am, and I am more intentional and mindful about it, it has made a total difference in my own life. And so I do want to say also, for teachers thinking about doing this, to make sure you're also taking care of your own well-being,
Mhm.
because that's also going to, you know, you know, that's going to present itself in front of our kids as well. They want to see you in the best version of yourself as possible. So we're not always going to have those good days. I know that. Um, but as much as possible. And so, kind of living it yourself and giving yourself that opportunity for your own wellness too.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. It is so important, and we need to be reminded, right? We're all in this together. It's so
Right.
easy to be stressed and anxious and kind of hide out, but what those words come back to me again about you yourself learn to calm yourself. You're connecting. You're saying, I want to connect with other like-minded people, and working with your friends. That's your co-host as such, and you've got the PTO around your back, and you've got the community
Hmm.
involved, and you want to
Right.
build a community of people that are doing this kind of work. So we
Right.
really are that way. And so I think, yeah, that's if we were to stand on the top of a mountain and yell it out, that would be what I would say about you is that you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk, and you're bringing
Thank you.
this sense, your energy, your
Mhm.
positivity, your passion for wellness wherever you
Right.
go, right? Not just as you say too about your aim is to have the children connect off the mat or out of the
Right.
class, and I feel like you're doing that
Right.
too, right? That you're out
Right.
there in the world at the
Yep.
grocery store or on the weekends or whatever, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
you be, right?
Yeah.
It's so
When the
important.
tech is when the
Yeah.
tech isn't going so well.
Well, I mean, you were just completely graceful. I mean, yeah, totally amazing. So
Oh
what's
no.
next for you, Jatora? What do you have any other plans of what you want to get up to?
Yeah, I'm slowly working on different avenues, but just connecting more in my community and doing more classes and such. But I did start an apparel line for adults that is around a lot of the same thing, with inspirational and motivational
Ooh.
you know words and quotes, and it's stuff you can wear to like yoga class or
Oh,
meditation. And so I'm really excited about that. But one of my main goals from this is to I need to do my own working and getting the outreach into more schools, because I would love to be that, SEL. I know SEL is this big buzzword, but I'm gonna I feel like most of us know what that is. So
yes, yeah,
but mindfulness, or I'll say mindfulness teacher, where I go into classrooms and I'm also almost like an extra special, or
yeah.
um you know for 15-20 minutes, and I come in and do some of these activities with classrooms, And I go around to different classrooms and, and do that in the rooms for the teachers.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is I feel like teachers are bombarded with a lot that they have to teach, especially elementary school. And I feel like many teachers don't feel, I don't know if qualified is the right word, but they don't feel like they have enough experience
Mm.
teaching some of these tools, and they're, almost thrown in to say, here, use this, do that, and it's just another thing. But if you're not using it with fidelity, you're not feeling like you're doing good enough, that you're making any impact, and you're not really benefiting your kids. And so I want to be that person to come in and take that off teachers' hands,
Yes.
and they would be in the classroom as well, because it would be a break for them too. They
Right.
could
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I really would, that's one of my, ultimate goals as far as getting into school. So I'm slowly working through that with, doing some of this stuff, these after school programs and things like that to show some of the benefits. We had a parent tell us, like, we need to have this in the during the school day.
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
and there are many teachers, this is not to take away from any teachers who are using, these tools and things already, but wouldn't it be nice to have these, like, focused, really really focused, intentional time periods, where they could do that and not feel like you have to do more planning.
Right.
Someone else is doing that and taking care of that for you, um and it's their expertise to do that, not yours.
Yeah. I love that. And we actually have had that a couple of years ago in our school district. So it is a thing. We had a
Oh,
we
good.
hired a mindfulness teacher and they came in for 15 minutes in each classroom on a Monday, for example. And so it's
Yeah.
definitely a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time. I'm so
you.
glad it worked out. Even though
Me
you're in your
too.
car, it was totally fine. Your energy comes through, doesn't matter where you are. So I so
I'm
appreciate
I'm
you.
so glad. Thank you so
Yes.
much for having me, Giselle. It's been a
You.
pleasure. I've learned so much from you.
Oh,
I
thank
have
you.
so many tools that I've been using. And so I love being connected with your community. It's been awesome. Thank
I
you.
can't wait to share this video. Thanks, my dear.
All
Take good
right.
care. See you
You
then.
too. Bye.